It's 3 in the morning, and the blue light of your phone is the only thing keeping the shadows of your room at bay. You're scrolling, not because you're interested, but because you're terrified. You see a 17-year-old who just sold their first startup. You see a creator your age whose aesthetic is so perfect it makes your room look like a disaster zone. You see people who seem to have already solved life, while you are still struggling to finish a chemistry assignment or figure out why a specific mask in Premiere Pro isn't tracking correctly. This is the fear of being left behind, the quiet, crushing weight of feeling like the world is a high-speed train that you've somehow missed. You're standing on the platform, watching the taillights fade into the distance, wondering if you'll ever catch up. But I want to tell you something that the internet, in its infinite noise, will never admit. You aren't falling behind. You are just being forced to run a race that doesn't actually have a finish line. In 2026, the speed of information has created a collective hallucination. We've been tricked into believing that if we aren't successful by 20, we've failed. We've turned life into a sprint, where every day you don't produce something is seen as a wasted day. This fear is a parasite. It feeds on your creativity and turns your passion into a source of anxiety. When you work on your Lona storyline or build your Minecraft world, the fear whispers, "Is this enough? Is this fast enough? Someone else is doing more." This makes you rush. And when you rush, you lose the soul of your work. You start making content for the algorithm instead of making art for yourself. You aren't being left behind by the world. You are leaving yourself behind in the pursuit of a ghost. The truth is, everyone is pretending. The success you see on your screen is a carefully rendered illusion. It is a 20-page magazine of a life that only shows the highlight reel. You don't see the thousands of hours of boredom, the failed drafts, the rot, or the deep insecurity that those creators feel every time they check their own feeds. We are all living in a hall of mirrors, each of us terrified that everyone else has found the exit while we are still bumping into our own reflections. The gap you feel between yourself and others is not a measure of your worth. It is a measure of how much you are allowing the digital world to dictate your internal clock. Think about the way you build in Minecraft. If you try to build a massive cathedral in 10 minutes, it's going to look like a mess. It takes time to get the palette right, to work on the custom modality, to ensure the atmosphere is perfect. Real life is exactly the same. You are in the 10th grade. You are a student of history, biology, and the complex mechanics of video production. You are still in the resource-gathering phase of your life. You are collecting the lore, the skills, and the perspective that will form the foundation of everything you do later. You cannot rush the harvest. If you try to pick the fruit before it's ripe, it's just going to be bitter. You aren't behind. You are just still in the middle of a very long, very complex render. The fear of being left behind is also a fear of the unseen. We think that if we aren't broadcasting our progress, we aren't progressing. But some of the most important work you will ever do is the work that happens in the dark. It's the hours you spend learning Photoshop shortcuts, the scripts you write and delete, and the quiet nights where you think deeply about the philosophy of your characters. This invisible progress is what actually builds a creator. The world only sees the final upload, but the firstness of the result is built on 1,000 seconds and thirds that nobody saw. Your value is not determined by how many people see you moving. It is determined by the direction you are moving in. We have to talk about the algorithm of comparison. In 2026, your feed is designed to show you exactly what you don't have. It shows you the people who are further ahead to keep you engaged, keep you searching, and keep you consuming. It is a machine designed to make you feel inadequate so that you'll look for a solution in the next app, the next tool, or the next success secret. But you cannot find yourself in someone else's timeline. You are author radish. You have your own aesthetic, your own rhythm, and your own story to tell. If you spend all your energy trying to catch up to a version of someone else, you will arrive at their destination and realize you've lost your own mapped out. The only way to kill the fear is to commit to the long game. Stop looking at the 1% who are currently peaking and start looking at the craft itself. If you love the process of storytelling, the darkness, the manipulation, the world building, then you've already won. Because the people who are ahead of you but hate the work will eventually burn out and disappear. But the person who loves the work for the sake of the work can never be left behind. They are the ones who stay. They are the ones who eventually become the standard that everyone else is trying to catch up to. So, The next time you feel that cold panic in your chest, the feeling that you should be further along, that you should be more, take a breath and look at your own save file. Look at how much you've learned in the last year. Look at the complexity of the scripts you're writing now compared to what you did 6 months ago. Look at the visual language you are developing. That is the only data that matters. You are not in competition with the person on your screen. You are in competition with the version of you that wanted to quit yesterday. The world is large, and there is plenty of room for your voice. In 2026, authenticity is the only currency that isn't being devalued by AI. Your unique perspective, your no-voice atmosphere, and your psychological depth are things that cannot be mass-produced. They take time to grow. Don't let the noise of the race distract you from the quality of the journey. You are exactly where you need to be. You are 16, you are talented, and you have the most powerful tools in history at your fingertips. The train hasn't left you behind. You are the one building the track. Stop, put down the phone. Close the success tabs. Open your project. The only way to get ahead is to stop looking at where everyone else is going and start focusing on where you are standing. The rot ends, the fear dies, and the creation begins when you finally decide that your own pace is enough. You aren't late. You are just getting started.